From the first chocolate bar ever made in 1847 to today, chocolate has become more than just food. It has become part of our happiest moments. Every single day, people around the world eat over 7 million chocolate bars. But behind each bite is an amazing journey that starts in the warm forests of Africa and South America. In these special forests, over 5 million farmers work hard to grow and pick the cocoa pods that will become your favorite chocolate bars. These farmers, working across 3.6 million small farms, carry on a tradition that goes back more than 5,000 years, when the Mayans first discovered how to make chocolate from cocoa beans. Today's chocolate makers use big machines and special ways to turn these cocoa beans into smooth, creamy chocolate. They work in 400 giant factories spread across the world, making sure every chocolate bar is perfect. Some of these factories can make up to 1 million chocolate bars in a single day. From the day a cocoa pod is picked to the moment a chocolate bar is wrapped, it goes through 10 important steps. Each step must be just right. Let's start with the most important part, the cocoa pods, where every chocolate bar begins its journey. Growing cocoa trees. The story of chocolate starts with special trees called cocoa trees. These trees only grow in warm, rainy places near the middle of our Earth, in a band that stretches 20 degrees north and south of the equator. Unlike normal trees that grow straight and tall, cocoa trees stay small, about 25 feet high, perfect for picking pods. Each cocoa tree needs 40 square feet of space to grow properly. The most unique thing is their flowers. Tiny pink and white blooms grow right from the trunk and main branches. From 50,000 flowers a tree makes yearly, only 100 become pods. Each flower lasts 1 day, pollinated by small flies called midges. Cocoa pod growth. When a flower gets pollinated, it slowly grows into a cocoa pod. These pods are fascinating. They start green, but turn bright yellow, red, or purple when they're ready to pick. The pods are quite big, about the size of a football, and each one holds about 40 beans inside. Farmers watch their trees carefully all year round. A healthy tree gives them about 20 to 30 pods per year. Harvesting time. Picking cocoa pods takes great skill and care. For these, farmers use long wooden poles with sharp curved blades at the end. These tools help them cut the high pods safely without damaging them. Each pod is caught carefully as it falls to prevent it from hitting the ground and splitting open. Pod opening and bean collection. Within 24 hours of picking, farmers gather all the pods in one place for pod breaking. This is like opening a treasure chest. Each pod needs to be cracked open just right. Farmers hit the middle of the pod with a wooden club or crack it against a sharp wooden edge. With practice, they can split the pod perfectly without damaging the beans inside. Once the pod is open, workers scoop out the beans with their hands. The beans are covered in white pulp that feels like slippery cotton candy. Workers separate any black or damaged beans, keeping only the best ones. From 100 pounds of pods, they get about 7 pounds of wet beans. Fermentation process. Now comes one of the most important steps, fermentation. The beans, still covered in their white pulp, are piled onto large wooden trays or put in wooden boxes with holes in the bottom. Workers cover them with banana leaves to keep heat and moisture inside. The boxes are raised off the ground so liquid can drain away as the pulp breaks down. During the next 5 to 7 days, something magical happens. The sweet pulp starts to disappear as tiny organisms break it down. Workers mix the beans every 2 days, moving them from box to box to make sure they all ferment evenly. After fermentation, the beans need to dry. They contain 60% moisture, which must be reduced to 7% for shipping and storage. Workers spread the beans on large drying patios or bamboo mats to dry in the sun for 5 to 7 days. Workers rake the beans every few hours for even drying and protect them from rain by covering or moving them inside. Experienced workers can tell when beans reach the right dryness by their crackling sound when squeezed. At night, the beans are covered to protect from dew. By the end of drying, they turn deep brown and develop their first chocolate smell. The dried beans go through their first major quality check. Workers spread them on long sorting tables under bright lights. They look for beans that are too small, broken, or have any signs of mold. They also do a cut test. They cut exactly 100 beans in half to look inside. The good beans are packed into large jute bags, each holding 140 pounds of beans. These bags will travel from the farms to chocolate factories around the world, where they'll start their next journey to become the chocolate we love. When the bags of cocoa beans arrive at the chocolate factory, they first go through a cleaning machine. This machine is like a giant separator that uses air blasts and special screens to remove any twigs, stones, or metal pieces that might have gotten mixed in with the beans. It can clean up to 11 tons of beans every hour. The clean beans then move into large metal cylinders called preheaters. These warm up the beans to exactly 212 degrees Fahrenheit and add a tiny bit of steam. This helps loosen the outer shell of the bean, making it easier to remove later. The heat also kills any bacteria that might be on the beans, making them safe for eating. Roasting is one of the most important steps in making chocolate taste good. The beans enter huge machines that can roast 2,000 pounds at once. The temperature stays between 240 and 350 degrees Fahrenheit, with beans moving constantly for even roasting. After roasting, beans cool quickly on trays with cold air blowing over them, locking in flavors. The cooled beans enter a winnower, a machine that cracks and removes shells, leaving only the nibs inside. The nibs, containing 54% cocoa butter, pass through mills with metal rollers spinning at different speeds. This grinding turns them into a thick paste called chocolate liquor, which has the consistency of peanut butter. For dark chocolate, they might just add sugar and more cocoa butter. For milk chocolate, they add milk powder, sugar, and extra cocoa butter. All these ingredients go into a giant mixing machine. Think of it like a very powerful kitchen mixer, but it can mix up to 6 tons at once. Now comes a step that makes chocolate super smooth, refining. In refining, the mixture passes through 5 steel rollers spinning at different speeds. These rollers squeeze particles to less than 20 microns, smaller than a human hair. Next is conching, where refined chocolate enters a large tank called a conche. Heavy rollers move through the chocolate for up to 78 hours at 180 degrees Fahrenheit. Conching removes unwanted flavors, reduces particle size further, creating chocolate's silky texture. The last step before molding is called tempering. This step is tricky because cocoa butter can form 6 different types of crystals, but only one type makes chocolate look shiny and snap properly when you break it. The chocolate passes through a tempering machine that carefully controls the temperature. First, it heats the chocolate to 113 degrees Fahrenheit to melt all the crystals. Then it cools to 81 degrees. Finally, it warms slightly to 88 degrees. The perfectly tempered chocolate flows into a depositing machine that carefully measures just the right amount for each bar. The liquid chocolate pours into polycarbonate molds that can make hundreds of bars at once. These molds are specially made with a micro-etched surface that gives chocolate bars their shiny finish. To remove any air bubbles that could spoil the chocolate's look and texture, the filled molds pass through a vibrating table. The vibrations make tiny air bubbles rise to the surface and pop. This process takes just 90 seconds, but it's crucial for making chocolate bars that look and break perfectly. The filled molds enter a cooling tunnel at 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Slow, steady cooling for 30 minutes ensures the perfect snap. Quality control. Every batch goes through strict testing by sensory experts who check shine and color, snap when broken, smell, taste, melting quality. These experts taste up to 50 samples daily without swallowing. Finally, the approved chocolate bars move to the packaging area. Here, high-speed machines wrap up to 300 bars every minute. Each wrapper is checked by a metal detector to make sure it's perfectly sealed. The wrapped bars are then packed into boxes and moved to special temperature-controlled warehouses. From here, special refrigerated trucks will take the chocolate bars to stores all around the world. And that's how tiny cocoa beans transform into the chocolate bars we love. A journey that takes skill, patience, and careful attention at every step. If you enjoyed learning about how chocolate is made, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories about the foods we love. See you next time with another amazing journey from the factory to your home.